Hello, my most amazing artists. Let's start off today's art class by saying our class mantra on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. My mantra: I am positive, I am creative, I am mindful, I am amazing, I am an artist. All right, let's remember those 5 things as we get started on week 2 of our Reggie Laurent collages. So last week we learned all about geometric and organic shapes, and we even cut out our own shapes as well. We also learned about Mr. Reggie Laurent, so let's go ahead and do a little bit of a review of that. So let's remember what an organic and a geometric shape is. An organic shape is a shape that usually does not have a name, okay? And if we draw an imaginary line straight down the middle of our organic shapes, we will notice that they are different on each side. They are not the same on both sides. But if we look at a geometric shape, they always have a name. So rectangle is a rectangle, has 4 sides, and it is equal on both sides, same as a circle or a hexagon. And if we draw an imaginary line down any of these geometric shapes, we will notice that they are both the same on each side. Okay? And Reggie Laurent is an artist who creates these big abstract paintings using lots of organic shapes and geometric shapes. He also uses our elements of art, lines, shapes, and colors. Now today we are going to actually be arranging all of those shapes we made last week into a collage. And a collage is a work of art that is made by attaching pieces of different materials like paper, cloth, wood, to a flat surface. Okay? In this case, our pieces are the shapes that we cut out last week, our organic shapes and our geometric shapes. But collages can be made with a bunch of different materials. Like these are magazine clippings. Most of the stuff is magazine clippings. Some advertisements here, like from coupons or anything like that. So it's just paper clippings arranged onto a surface to create a beautiful collage. Okay, so now let's go ahead and start arranging our shapes. During our last project, we actually learned about the word composition, and that is how we arrange out the elements of our artwork. And we are going to actually do the same with our shapes. So let me go ahead and get my shapes out here. Today, we are going to be using the shapes that we cut out from last week. So I have a combination of geometric and organic shapes. I also have a piece of paper that I've cut into a rectangle, but you can use any kind of paper that you have. I'm using black because that's normally the background color that Reggie Laurent uses. And this artwork is inspired by him, so I thought I would stay true to what his artwork looks like. But you can use any color that you want to. All right, I also have a glue stick, but if you don't have a glue stick, you can just use white glue, the liquid kind, or you can use tape. And lastly, I have a scrap piece of paper here that I'm going to be using to apply my glue so I don't get glue all over my table. Okay, so it's kind of like a messy mat. So first things first, I'm just going to start seeing where I like these different shapes. How do I want to arrange them? What will be the composition of my artwork? Okay, and you need to do the same. Don't just randomly glue these down onto your paper. We want it to kind of have a flow, a movement, and almost be like a puzzle. Okay, so let's see what kinds of shapes really fit with each other. And while I'm arranging these, if you notice, I'm not letting my shapes overlap on top of one another. There is a little bit of space that I'm going to leave in between each shape because that is how Reggie Laurent does his artwork. All right, and like I said, this is kind of like a puzzle. So I'm just laying my pieces down, and I might not like how they look at first, but I can always go back and rearrange it if I want to. And maybe I like this shape here, but I don't want 2 colors right next to each other, so maybe I will move this over here and put this like that. Just see what kind of designs you can come up with. I'm going to go ahead and arrange mine, and then I'll be right back to show you the next step. So I have pretty much arranged my shapes how I like them, but I do notice I have a little bit of bigger spaces where I think some shapes should go, because you don't want big black spaces. We want to fill up most of it with our shapes without having our shapes actually touching. So I'm just going to take one of my shapes that I cut out last week, and I'm just going to make it smaller to see if I can fit it anywhere else on my paper. And I can fit it right there. Okay, so while you're doing this, you might need to cut out smaller shapes to fill in these smaller spaces. just to fill up that black space. But remember, we do not want our shapes to be touching. Okay, there should be a little bit of a black space between each of our shapes. All right, I am happy with this composition of my shapes. And you might have some extra shapes left over, but that's okay. You can just use them for another project, or if you want to do another collage, then you can totally do that. All right, so I'm just going to set those shapes off to the side, and I'll save them for another project. But now I want to go ahead and glue down all of these shapes. And like I said, if you don't have glue, then you can just use tape. If you want, which might be a good idea, some of these shapes might start to move around. So sometimes I like to go ahead and take a picture with my phone so that I can remember what my composition looks like. So now I have that picture on my phone and I can remember where each shape goes. All right, but if you don't have this option, then just do your best to try to go in order and glue your shapes down where you wanted them to go. All right, so what I'm going to do is I am going to flip my shape over on its back side onto my scrap piece of paper here. I'm going to twist my glue up, but we don't need a lot of glue for this because these shapes are pretty small. And I am just going to go gently over my shape. And it's really nice that this scrap piece of paper is here so that glue does not get on my table. I'm going to carefully pick it up, flip it back over, and glue it down where it needs to go. All right. And I'm going to do this for all of my shapes. And that is it for the day. So after you glue down all of your shapes, just hold on to this work of art because there's one last step to complete it to make it a true Reggie Laurent inspired work of art. Okay, so go ahead, arrange your shapes, your geometric and your organic shapes, but make sure there is no shapes that are actually overlapping or touching. There needs to be a little bit of a black space between each of your shapes. Then after you arrange it, you are going to start gluing down all of your shapes. All right, guys, I hope you have a lot of fun creating this collage, and I can't wait to show you the next step next week. But until then, I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.